Hey, hello, it's Laura Evangeline with Scrapbook.com. I've gotten my hands on the new distress color from Tim Holtz and Ranger. It's a pale gray called Lost Shadow. Now, don't be deceived, this color may not seem as exciting as some of the others, but I have some magic to show you later. But first, let me tell you what happens when I get a new color so you can see how I keep myself organized and ready to create. Let's start here with the distress paint. The top is quite slick and glossy, and I like to store mine where I can see the cap. That's how it fits in my drawer. So I'll take a punch slightly smaller than the cap size. It's an adhesive paper I'm using here. Stick it on top, add a small little drop to my silicone mat here, and then just squish it down into it. And all I need to do is let it dry, and then it's ready for me to go ahead and put into my paint drawer. For embossing powders and glazes, I also keep them in a drawer. Now you could store them upside down to see the color, but I want to know what it looks like when it's all heated up. So I'll take some cardstock, not a sticker because I'll be using a heat gun, and punch a circle slightly smaller that I can stick to the top there. Now I want to protect my fingers and I don't want to get any embossing ink or powder on them, so I pulled this scrap out from my trash bin and I'll use a bit of adhesive to stick the circle on the end. That'll just give me kind of a handle to use. Then I'll press it down into the embossing ink pad, dip it in the jar, heat it up, and add it to the lid here with some adhesive, and we're all done with that. And the most important thing to staying organized is to actually put this away where it goes so I can find it easily when the time comes to use it on the next project. Now, I don't have room in a drawer to make labeling the top of my sprays and stains feasible, although it's still a great idea if you have the space. These I keep in a carousel, which sits at about eye level, so the labels that are already on these work great for me. Now, what I do have room for in my desk is a swatch book. So I've sprayed each one onto some cardstock, black or white depending on the color, and then I've used a pen to label the back so I know what all the colors are. I also like to create swatch tags for my blending inks. I use a bit of mint tape here at the top. It gives me a place to put my fingers while the ink is wet so I don't get messy. It also creates a nice little spot for me to put my label while the ink's drying. I'm using the grid there to line up the tape, and I'll go in with the Distress Oxide. Ordinarily, for the ink blending I do on projects, I like to use these blenders. They're nice and rounded domes. They get it done really quickly. I have one here just for the gray. But these colors, I don't have a color for every oxide, so I generally use them for color families, and I'll use finger daubers for individual dedicated colors. All right, now I just need to add that label, and I can sort it here into the neutral section of my swatch book. When it's all lined up here, you can really see how that color was totally missing from the lineup. I just didn't realize it until I had it lined up. I can throw those back on the ring, and the only thing left to do here with the ink pads before I can put them away is to label them. Now, I store my ink pads in two different areas of my craft room due to space constraints. Both ways, I store them almost like cassettes. Please tell me in the comments if you know what a cassette is, what I'm talking about here. I'm scared that some people might not know what that means. Anyway, back to the ink pad. Since I store them on their side, where the side's viewable, I want to place the label here on the spine. And to do that, I'll go back to that adhesive sticker paper, blend a little ink over the top, punch it out in a shape that fits the side of the label, or just trim it out in a strip. Then I'll print the name of the ink on a clear label, cut slightly longer than that sticker, place it on top once it's dry, and we're good to go. All right, now comes my favorite part of getting a new ink, creating color blends. I made this chart on my computer and printed it out on my favorite cardstock. I'll pull out my daubers here because I have one for each color, so I'll get a true and accurate color swatch when I use them. I already have one here for the new color. And I'm going to use this mint tape here to mask off the area. You could use a stencil or something like that too if you want, but I'm just going to do this real quick and fast, and this will make light work of it for me so I can get this whole page done. Now my goal here is to use Lost Shadow in every single swatch set, but to not repeat any other colors. I am convinced that this is the perfect color because there are no two colors that this color can't join together. You're not going to get any of those brown muddy colors when you use this one in between. I'm telling you, it's magic. I'll show you. Check out this green and purple I have here. In the past, if I had done this, I knew I was just asking to make brown muddy color. But when I use this new Lost Shadow between these two, it just works. It works, and I'm telling you, it works every single time. Let me show you another difficult color combination that you wouldn't ordinarily think of. I know it's weird, but St. Patrick's Day is down the road, so that's where this inspiration came from. Orange and green, like the colors before, typically are going to join together and make a brown muddy mess. But here, once again, Lost Shadow is magical, transforming this blend into pure perfection every single time. All right, it didn't take me too long to get this done, but I have the entire sheet filled and labeled. And now check it out. I did it. I didn't repeat any color except for Lost Shadow, of course. That one's in every single swatch. I mean, I literally reached over my shoulder at sometimes, not looking, picking any inks, trying to challenge this color and push it to the limit. But every single time, the blend works. You can see here all the different colors I used. I think I might print out another swatch page or two and go ahead and finish out the rest of the colors. I mean, I don't even know how many color combinations you could come up with, but they're all going to work. I guarantee it. This color is my favorite now. It's magical. It's number one, top shelf. It's going in the top drawer. Speaking of which, here's a peek inside my top drawer here at my craft desk. I have room for the daubers, the swatch tags we made for the sprays and inks, the larger color family daubers, and of course my new favorite ink right here up front alongside my favorite colors, and our swatch page. It'll fit right here nicely on top. I like to keep it with the inks so it's handy and ready to go. Now for the rest of my inks, because I don't have enough room for all of them here, I'll go over to my closet, and here's that carousel I mentioned earlier for sprays. This one will fit nicely right here. And then for my kind of overflow inks, because I can't have enough, I have this little caddy here. And I guess that's it. Now it's time to play. Until next time, stay crafty.